First storm system is passing through the central United States today through early tomorrow. This storm system is bringing severe weather across portions of the lower and mid Mississippi Valley regions through the day into this evening. I do not see any current or active warnings through the area right now, but there were some earlier today, and more is expected throughout this evening. Looking on the cold side of the system, there really isn't a whole lot of cold air for the system to work with. I mean, just look how far north the 540 line is, right up in here where my cursor is going. But on the back end of this storm, as the cold air does wrap around on the northwest side, a changeover to some snow is likely across portions of eastern Nebraska, northern and central Iowa, southern Minnesota, and portions of Wisconsin and northern Michigan. And I'll show you that here. I'm going to move this along just so that you can see what I'm talking about. See, it starts as a period of rain in eastern Nebraska, changes over to some snow. Same with northern and central Iowa. It does change over to some snow, and southern Minnesota. And then also when you get into northwest Wisconsin and northern Michigan. And the greatest snowfall is expected across northwest Wisconsin and northwest or northern Michigan, where the storm system does continue to intensify, and it will continue to wrap in more cold air, bringing the region enhanced snowfall. Still not a lot of snow is going to be expected with this system, but enough to be a nuisance for many living across the central U.S. and the upper Midwest. And I want to show you here what I'm talking about. So as the storm system continues to track to the north and east into Canada, the system does continue to strengthen, and it wraps in more cold air on the back end of the system on the northwest side, and that is where you'll see enhanced snowfall, especially, like I said, across northern Wisconsin and northern Michigan. And I want to show you the snowfall prediction map that I made just this morning. Let me pull that up here quick. So like I said, not a lot of snowfall is expected with the system, but here you can see there is going to be a region where the rain is going to likely change over to snow, especially on the back end of the system as the cold air wraps around, where a region of less than 1 inch is expected for most. But then you get up here into northwest Wisconsin and northern Michigan, and I would expect a region of around 1 to 3 inches for most. But then right along here, along the coast of Lake Superior, I would say 3 to 6 inches is not out of the realm of possibilities at this point, especially where the lake does help to enhance some of that snowfall. So I would say this is going to be the best chance of seeing the accumulations, the more plowable accumulations of around 3 to 6 inches. Still not super impressive, especially with what they just got recently, but still going to be a nuisance for the region. And I want to show you now system number 2. Now looking at system number 2 that comes in the wake of system number 1, some snow is expected with the system across portions of New Mexico, Colorado, northern Texas, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and Kansas through the day on Friday. Although still not much cold air is going to be present for this storm to play with, because look how far north that 540 line is here. I'm just going over it with my cursor right now. That is where the 540 line is. Plus, the storm does appear that it's likely going to take a more easterly track, which will put most of the precipitation on the warm side of the storm. Although it will still bring some snow across the Great Lakes region through the day on Saturday, which I want to show you. I'm going to move this along here. Let me move this along so you can see most of the snow or most of the precipitation is going to be in the warm sector, especially with how the eastward track that this storm appears to be taking at this point. So not much of the precipitation will fall on the cold side of the system, but some snow is expected across the Great Lakes region through the day on Saturday and into the northeast through early Sunday. But still not a whole lot of snow is expected with this system, but there really is not much cold air for this storm to work with as it passes through the region. So let me just back this up here again. I want to show you one more time what I'm talking about. So you're going to get some snow through the day on Friday across portions of Colorado, New Mexico, northern Texas, and then the system does appear, like I said, to be taking more of an eastward track, and you get most of the snow is up in the Great Lakes region, albeit not that much, and then also into the northeast through the day on Sunday. But the biggest story with this storm system is going to be the severe weather across portions of the southeast and the cold air that will spill into the eastern half of the country through early next week. Let me show you here. As you move this along, look how far south that 540 line gets. So you're going to get some cold air for early next week before temperatures do rebound slightly by the middle of next week But that's before another system passes to the north and delivers another shot of cold Arctic air across the eastern half of the country. I'm going to show you that here. I'm going to move this along. I'm going to show you temperatures do rebound slightly ahead of our next system. But then take a look at this system right here, the system that's passing to the north of the United States here. And that's going to deliver another fresh shot of cold Arctic air from our friends up in Canada. So we can thank them for this cold air that's coming down. But then I want to point something out to you guys here. So this is for late next week. And after that system passes to the north, like I said, it delivers a shot of cold air. And now we have a frontal boundary draped across the east coast, extending all the way down into the Gulf. And that's right along right here where my cursor is going. That's where the frontal boundary is going to be draped. And we do have energy diving down into the U.S., but the question remains, will it get out ahead of the main trough in order to slide up the coast? And I'm going to show you the upper air map and what I'm talking about with this energy. So here is the upper air map, and this is the energy that I'm talking about. This is one piece of energy, and in order for it to come up the east coast, you want it to get out ahead of the main northern trough. It doesn't look like it's going to do that at this point, at least what the models are showing right now, but a lot is likely to change between now and then. But you see this, you get this energy. If you can get it to get out ahead of the main trough and interact with this frontal boundary that's going to be draped along the east coast and into the Gulf, you can get an east coast snowstorm. I mean, and that's why the potential is there for an East Coast snow event for late next week into the weekend and possibly even early next week, with energy diving down into the U.S. and then possibly interacting with that frontal boundary that's going to be draped along the East Coast and into the Gulf. If you can get some pieces of energy to interact with that frontal boundary, and we have the cold air in place, the potential is there for a snowstorm along the East Coast. But that remains to be seen at this point. And like I said, a lot is likely to change between now and then. So just because the models aren't showing anything as of right now doesn't mean they won't show something tomorrow or on the next run. But we do have a frontal boundary draped along the East Coast, extending into the Southeast, and we have energy to play with. So the ingredients are there. And if they come together, we could get an East Coast snowstorm. But like I said, that remains to be seen at this point. And I'm not seeing anything on the models right now that are showing an East Coast snowstorm. But the ingredients are there. I mean, you have all the ingredients set out for cake. So the ingredients are there. All you have to do is put them together and make the cake. That's what this is like. You have all the ingredients there, but can they come together at the right time and in the right place for a snow event up the East Coast? And I will keep you all updated, so stay tuned throughout the week. Thank you all for watching and hope you guys enjoyed.